Welcome to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Your hosts, Brian Halstead and Kevin Harkins, are two gray-bearded patriots who love God, their family and friends, and their country. The Graybeards are here to inspire, inform, and educate you on a myriad of topics they are passionate about. Brian and Kevin have a strong desire to share this with you to help you live your best life. Sit back and enjoy this amazing podcast as the Graybeards pass along the wisdom of the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. I'm Brian Halstead.
And I'm Kevin Harkins.
And Kevin, we're here to pass along some wisdom of the ages. What the heck does that mean?
We're not perfect, but we do have gray beards. And that means we've got some significant life experience, some life lessons, and some perspectives that are worthy of passing along.
Well, I think that sums it up nicely. Let's get to it. Kevin, good evening.
Good evening, Bryant.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it. How are you doing?
I am doing well, man. Good to be back in your presence.
Yeah. How was the water? How was the beach?
Oh,
How was the...
Everything from start to finish was outstanding.
Okay.
Yep. Love it. Love it.
You know what's I always found interesting, curious, and also at the same time awesome? Places that have a pool that are literally feet from the ocean. Have you? I mean, that's a thing.
Well, it's I guess some people don't like the ocean,
right?
And
right.
I'm not one of those people.
Okay.
So, and my family is not anymore either. There was a time when my daughters weren't really interested in the ocean and kind of shied away from it. But since we've added a pool here within the last few years, well, we've had a pool here for several years, but they have less and less interest to hang out in somebody else's pool.
Okay.
And
right.
So it's I think we had a house that had a pool and at the beach, right? And I think maybe one or two people got in it. And that was it. So
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you did.
We were in the ocean.
Yeah, that's always a curious thing to me, especially when you can literally be standing, on the pool deck, looking at the ocean with the waves breaking, and you just think. But you're right. Some people just don't like the ocean. They don't like the sand and the dirt and all the
right.
Just the
and sometimes for smaller kids, it's better, more manageable.
Yep.
Less scary.
Anyway, you're back. You're looking good. You feeling good?
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. I was going to ask you another question, having nothing to do with all of that. I forgot what it was. It don't matter. Here we are.
Yes, sir. Here we are
doing another podcast.
Am I smoking you out over there?
Just that was a big cloud.
Yeah.
That was coming. Actually, I like the smell of it. It smells very nice, but that one in particular was about to overtake me.
I apologize. I was not paying attention.
Something about the wind today is coming right at me. All is well. No need to apologize.
Cool. All right. So how about you? Did you miss me while I was gone? What was you okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I always miss you when you're gone. Right. But at least I got to look at you over Zoom.
Yeah, with my starfish in the background.
Yep. Yeah. That was good. Anyway, glad you could get some time away and recharge a little bit, do something different, change up the pace. Even if you're busy doing stuff, it's different intellectual muscle that you're working. And so although I'll speak for myself, vacation very often is physically exhausting. And you come back to rest sometimes just because your body wants a routine, craves that routine. And when you get back into it, I'm speaking for myself, like I said.
Yeah. I don't know. I like we were talking earlier, I came back yesterday and had to jump right back into it. My grass is like 4 feet tall and, because it decided to, rain every day we were gone just about. And which is good. It's a beautiful thing. I'm glad the grass is continuing to grow. It's been more green this year than I recall it being in a number of summers, right? So because it usually goes dormant and browns out in the summertime, but it's been nice. But with that rain and that grass growth comes the need to cut it.
And there's been a good amount of rain on the weekends, which has made it difficult for many people. If your schedule didn't line up that you could get it cut on the weekend, then it goes another week. And There's a lot of people that have a foot tall grass.
Yeah, no doubt.
Still a few. Most people have taken care of as I look around. Anyway.
Well, I'm fairly certain, as I'm just going out on a limb here, I'm fairly certain that the folks who are out there listening to this podcast and watching it on YouTube are not here to talk about the beach, or not here to listen to us talk about the beach and grass cutting and other chores and things of that nature. I think they're here to get some wisdom. Do we have any of that for them?
We do. We
got some wisdom we could sling out there? Do a little slinging of wisdom?
Oh, no.
Yeah, you hadn't heard that in a while, buddy.
Don't
I'm coming
say
back.
it. Yes, you
coming
are.
back ramped up.
Yeah, yes, you are. Send you on vacation, and you just come back as a whole new. Yeah. So what's going on? What's our topic this week, and why did you pick it?
Well, so first off, I can't take credit for picking this topic. It was
Okay.
actually suggested by someone who will remain nameless. He knows who he is, and he's a regular listener. So he,
Okay.
but it was suggested. So the topic is controlling the E's, ego and emotions. Controlling the E's,
Yeah.
ego and emotions. Sounds pretty simple, right?
Well,
but it's not.
no, it's definitely not. There's you can go deep into this into each side of this topic, but I'm just wondering what it was, and maybe you know, and maybe you don't know. What was it that caused this person that suggested it to connect those two together? Was there something about those in particular, or is it just an easy way to roll off the tongue? Where does that come from?
Yeah, so I don't know for sure. Don't know the details of this, particular situation that caused him to come up with this idea. I suspect it might be from personal experience.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't have a good answer for that.
All right.
I could make something up. No, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think of the topic? I know it could be very deep.
Yeah, I mean, I immediately took inventory back, going through various times in my life where both of those things, when they were not under control. I mean, I will state chapter and verse tonight to talk about times where it just ate me alive, because and the thing is about, especially the emotional part of it. When you don't keep that under control and you start taking action based on emotion rather than being calm and thinking through it,
you turn the shit show into a shittier show.
Yes, you do. You can. I mean, and the thing is, it becomes this sort of self-generating, self-licking ice cream cone.
Yeah.
Because something happens and then you react because you're angry. And then something happens because of your reaction, and it gets worse.
Yeah.
And it gets worse.
It's like you can hear a commentator observing the scenario. So he's digging a hole.
Right.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he's got a shovel. He's working at a very feverish pace to dig that hole. He's probably got 5 or 6 foot worth of hole dug at this point. Oh, he's coming out of the hole. Maybe he's realized that he's digging a hole and needs to stop. He's coming out of the hole. Oh, no, what's he doing? Oh, no, he's starting a backhoe up. And now he's driving the backhoe over to the hole. He's making it even bigger. Yeah, because sometimes you get caught up in that cycle.
Right.
And you don't have the good sense to hit the brakes and pull yourself out of it. You just keep digging. And you keep digging.
Yeah.
And, when hand tools aren't enough, then you go to the power equipment.
Yeah, and it's good to, in those circumstances, have somebody around you who can help you pump the brakes a little bit. Somebody who's close to you and willing to tell you the truth, because there's a lot of people who aren't, to say, you know what, this is not good. You probably oughta just be quiet, walk away, stop. And you need that kind of advice. I mean, so many times where something happens. And in today's modern world, what is that something? It could be an email, right, that you get from work. It could be something that your spouse says to you that angers you. It could be, and then all of a sudden, instead of, back to Thomas Jefferson, when you become angry,
Right.
count to 10.
Yeah.
Count to 10 before you react to it. And if very angry, count to 100.
Right. That's good advice, man. And,
Really
and how old is that advice? I mean,
Right.
come on, seriously. It happened just a little bit of time ago, and it's sound advice today.
Absolutely.
Couple 100+ years later. Yeah, it's it's amazing. And while you were saying that about having somebody that will tell you the truth, I pose that question to our listeners and viewers. Do you have somebody in your life like that will no bullshit tell you the truth and be concerned that it hurts your feelings or not, and at the same time still willing to give you that advice because or that feedback because they know it's needed and you need to pump the brakes? Do you have people like that in your life? Because if you don't, you need to find some. Yeah. You need to have people like that in your life that are willing to no bullshit, put the damn bit in your mouth and pull the reins back when it needs to be done.
Yep. Yeah, completely agree. And there's actually a lot of therapeutic value to having a conversation with somebody like that you can tell the story. This is what happened to me. Let me tell you what happened to me. And you start to talk them through it. And what it does is it helps you think through it.
Right.
And it helps you in many respects, start to calm down because you start to see it more rationally. And so having that person in your life that you can sit down and talk to and walk through this scenario with, a lot of times you will even stop or solve the problem yourself before the other person has to tell you, because you have to go, boy, I heard how that came out. Wasn't sounding good.
Yeah. Sounds like a coaching relationship in some ways, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have friends like that, maybe you need a coach that can help you out. And certainly if that's something that's of interest to you, hit us up. We would certainly be interested in engaging in a conversation with you about that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think especially in committed relationships, your spouse, your partner, somebody who's really has your best interest in mind, that is a person to go to and say, let me tell you about what's going on. And the thing is, it takes some discipline to do that. You can't, because sometimes you don't even want to do that. You just want to keep reacting to it, and just have the internal sort of alarm going off in your head that says, before I go get the backhoe and start digging deeper, maybe I ought to talk to somebody about this.
Yeah. And
find out what their thoughts are. So
yeah, it's having an accountability partner in life is a beautiful thing. And that can be used for helping you stay true to goals that you're working towards by making sure that you accomplish certain things that you're supposed to accomplish, you set out to accomplish, you said you were going to accomplish, and so on. And at the same time, they can also be used to keep you in check and make sure that you're living the life that you say you want to live in accordance with the values that you say you have.
Yep. So let's flip the coin over to not to ego. We're not going to ego yet. We're still on the emotion. Is it possible to over emote in a positive way? To get uber excited about something, uber pumped about something. Can that be? Do you need to control that in your view?
I think that's a situational thing, depending upon how that uber emotion is being carried out. Is it offensive to others? Is it unproductive? Are you not doing other things you need to be doing because you're so excited about this one particular scenario or something? So yeah, I think there's a lot of what if questions that would have to be answered there to have a full understanding before saying yeah, that's good or yeah, that's bad.
Okay. I think it's safer. It's definitely safer ground to get overexcited than it is to get over pissed.
No doubt. No argument about that whatsoever. Right. Negative emotions are bad. Right. They don't call them negative emotions because they're good, right? They're negative.
Right.
Who wants something negative?
But I think you can, though, and this is just think about it. The reason that I can actually speak to this is because I have been accused on many occasions in my life of being over optimistic and getting excited about things that have come up, things that we're working on, things that are going on, and all right, this gets me pumped. And then you get a few more steps into it and you find out it's different, or it's harder, it's going to take longer. And, it just sort of, wow, look at you over there getting all, cheerleader-ish. And and then you find out that it's not necessarily. So anyway, I don't think that's nearly, as we said, not nearly as bothersome, as difficult as the negative emotions that come with being angry and allowing those emotions to get out of control. So
yeah, and I think it's in how you deal with that, right? So the very excited state that you might be in, and positive state because something that you believe you can work towards, and you have to get others engaged to work towards it with you. I think in some ways you have to be overly positive and overly excited there to give the extra to the folks that are in the crowd that you're seeking to inspire to move towards whatever this is that you're working on. Because I think, I know we do. We pick up emotions from other people. They're transmitted.
Yep.
And if you don't believe me, go hang out with somebody that's positive and watch the the impact that has on you. And if you still aren't convinced, then go spend a bunch of time with somebody who's negative and see what kind of an influence that has on you.
I think
it'll become really clear really quickly that negative emotions in particular, I think, are more positive as far as it's kind of weird the way I said that, are more able to be contagious than positive ones, right? They both are very contagious, but negative are more so, in my opinion.
It's a good word, contagious. I like that. And absolutely, people around you will pick up on it, and for the good or for the bad. And you've been married for a long time. You can wake up and you can see your wife in the morning, and you can know in less than a second how she's doing emotionally, just by being around her, because her emotions are contagious.
Yeah.
And if she's in a good mood and happy and ready to attack the day, you'll know it. And if she's not, you'll know it. And you don't have to speak a word about it.
Right. And if it's in that first 30 seconds of her waking up,
right,
don't fuck with her.
Right. There you go. See?
Give her a minute, my wife and I have a tradition, when we're together in the morning like that, providing that I haven't, I'm not traveling or something, away for some reason like that. Morning ritual, hug first thing in the morning, right? You got to set the tone. And I think that just
it's a good one.
That matters.
Yeah.
And if for some reason and it works well when you get up at the same time. And sometimes if you get out of routine, right? So like this week when we were at the beach, there were a couple days where I got up before she did, and vice versa. And so you get out of the routine, and you kind of catch one another. Hey, what about my hug? And yeah, because it matters, man. It sets the tone for the day.
That's a good tradition. I like it. So, saving not stating the names to protect the innocent or the guilty. Can you think of a story, a time that you're willing to share about letting your emotions get the best of you, and it might be helpful to our listeners?
Yeah, there are plenty. I'm trying to think of one in specific detail. There certainly in my younger days. There were plenty of scenarios. There's one in particular I can think of when, I was, I had pitched an idea, and it was one of these things that somebody didn't really buy into and kind of shut it down, and I was pissed about it, and I just couldn't, and I don't really know what it was about it in particular that pissed me off so much, but I couldn't shake it, right? And then there was a meeting that was coming up immediately following this interaction that I just had, and I could not get my shit together. I was so freaking angry I couldn't get my shit together to walk into this meeting, so I just had to roll out and left for an hour or so to cool off and skip that meeting and so on. Because I knew that me going in there was not going to be a productive outcome for anyone.
Right. There you go. Actually the best thing you did there was to walk away and cool off for an hour before you came back in. So
yeah, that was the only thing I did good there, because letting my emotions get out of control in that way, so that it's having that much of a reaction and me allowing that to happen so that I can't function and go sit down. Yeah, that's bullshit, man. That's the way that younger people act. Folks with some time and experience in the saddle shouldn't be letting themselves act like that.
That is exactly what I was going to say. And I believe that I'm getting much better at this. Remember we shared the stories about family reunion and the old folks sitting off in the corner just kind of watching all the bullshit happen.
Yeah.
And they're not engaged, and they're not getting emotional. They're just, and they have strong feelings and strong standards and strong values about all the stuff that you're talking about as a family.
Right.
And they
could easily jump in and fire away themselves, but they choose not to. Because they're smart.
And you said it, and I can think of a very specific incident that similar to yours, and it had to do with an email. Got an email. I didn't like what was in the email. I didn't like what was happening as a result of the email, and it just instantly, I was pissed, and I was gonna, and the worst part about that is, you then start telling stories in your head about, why did he send that? Why did he say it that way? Why is he doing that? You start connecting all of these things when you don't have all of the information about what's going on.
Yeah.
And it's too early in the morning for you to call somebody and say, what the hell? What's going on? What about this? So anyway, I got angrier and angrier and angrier.
Right.
I didn't check it. I didn't say, you know what? Leave it alone. Walk away from it. Sometime after 8 o'clock in the morning, pick up the phone and say, tell me about this. While you're calm, while you're cool. Didn't do that. And I mean, it ruined half my day until I finally did have a conversation with somebody and found out. I mean, what I was interpreting in the story I was telling was completely wrong.
Yeah. That's the danger, right? So that's the danger in any interaction, in particular when you're dealing with things like email or text messages, where the only emotions that you have to deal with when you read that are your own emotions and the filters that you have and your personal experiences, and that's how you're going to interpret it based on those, experiences that you've had and the filters that you have and so on, and it could be completely different than what was intended. And so, you have to be careful with that. And we've probably said this before, that, things like email and text messages, you need to understand that those are not the venues to send anything that's potentially controversial, unless you know and are doing so with intention. Because, sometimes it might be a good tactic to send that, maybe, toss that grenade in the room a little bit, and see what the, kinds of reactions come out of it. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm saying sometimes that's a tactic that's beneficial, but under most circumstances it is not. And email and text are certainly not a way to deal with controversial or potentially controversial issues. Yeah, avoid it.
But in other words, you said there's a time for everything. There's a time to get excited. There's a time to get pissed. There's a time for everything. So we're not saying eliminate, emotions from your life. Emotions can be good, and emotions can be they can add joy and pleasure to your life for sure. But there's a lot of times where, especially when you're dealing with the negative emotions, steady Eddie, what are you grinning about?
Just when you start off, there's a time for this. There's a time. I thought we were taking a little trip down Footloose Lane here. You were going to Kevin Bacon us, and there's a time to dance. There is a time to dance.
Might be a time to sing.
No, not now.
No,
we got that out of the way before we started recording.
All right. Yeah, the Kevin Bacon thing, you just threw me off there. Time to there's a time to emote, and there's but especially on the negative ones, try to get control of it. Hold it, walk away, count to 100, talk to somebody, and then pick it up and go from there.
Well, it's interesting, that conversation that we just had about, the over response and so on, because the thing that we said we weren't going to talk about yet is exactly what's at play when that situation is occurring.
Yep.
Right. So that is exactly your ego.
Yeah.
Reacting in its raw form and letting your emotions, or contributing to letting those emotions get out of whack.
Right.
And you can find as many different definitions for ego out there in cyberspace as you do searches. And, it really depends on what you want to believe. There's, if you take the Freudian path, I think initially he defined ego as self, and then later went on to expand that and talk about, it was more of your psychic responses to things and your, justification, decision making, things of that nature. But it ultimately, I think in some ways it all revolves around that self and the preservation thereof. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. So what's in your mind then? Because I thought about this. What's the relationship between ego and confidence?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So, ego, I think somebody that has a good foundation, an ego that is in check, can be perceived as a very confident person. And I always use this. So confidence and arrogance are kind of often come up together.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that confidence is quiet and professional, and arrogance is loud and obnoxious. And I think when you have a good, solid check on your ego and you are in control of what's happening, you will show up as being confident potentially and not arrogant. Now, if you have issues with your ego being out of control and your ego being in the driver's seat, you may show up more in that arrogant or narcissistic arena.
Although they want it to come across as confidence, and that's the problem. Right. To me, I've seen that so many times in life where there's a person who's insecure in something about their life, maybe their life in general, and they want everybody to know, everybody to feel this that they are all over it, that they are the best, that they are the smartest in the room, that they are and that comes across. That's an ego thing. They're wanting to protect their ego, but if you're insecure and you're wanting to protect your ego, all of a sudden things start going haywire, and then you can come across either arrogant or narcissistic. Yep, those are two things that happen all the time, and it's good to have a healthy image and a healthy ego, to love yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself and loving yourself, it's not gonna propagate out to other folks that are out there. But yeah, being careful about allowing that to get away from you and coming across. And insecurity is a big deal. It's a big deal, especially for younger folks who are just getting started and they're trying to make their way in life. And I have a specific story that I'll tell here. This is way back when I was a young officer on my first ship. And when you report to your first ship and you don't know anything about anything, because you've made a few cruises as a cadet at the academy, and right. You've been exposed, but most of your learning has been academic. You've been in the classroom, right. but you have not been at sea doing it, except very little. So when you report aboard, you take over a division. You're a division officer with 10 people that you're in charge of, all of whom know more about what it means to be at sea than you do by a long shot. Some of them have been at sea for years and years and years, and here you are walking aboard trying to. So in this one specific instance, there was a lot of good stuff that was going on in my division. Good things were happening. The captain was aware of all the good things were happening, and I, being insecure at that particular moment in my life, wanted to make sure that the captain knew that I was the good division officer that was making all of these good things happen. And so in my language, when I was briefing him, I was talking about, we did this and we did that, and I made sure this happened and this and that. Man, he saw through that in a very kind way, said to me, look, I know you didn't do any of this. Your people did this. It is your job to create an environment where they can thrive, but don't be afraid to give credit where credit is due, because you didn't do any of the things that you're talking right. about. But I'm going to give you credit for it because you're the division officer. So it was just a very interesting, lesson on ego. Here I was wanting to make sure that he knew all of this great stuff that was happening, in my division, and he knew. He was not stupid. But I never forgot it, obviously, because he took the time to explain to me, look, you're going to get credit for the good things that happen in your division. But what you should have been saying is the chief did this and it was amazing, and the first class petty officer did this and that was amazing, and the third class petty officer did this and that. I didn't say that. You know, I said I did, we did, the team did, and I was right. But that's the ego. That's the ego problem right there. I wanted him to know I was good, and I wanted to get credit for the folks that were working for me, and I do the complete opposite now. But that's kind of interesting, I thought.
Yeah, what's the old saying? You know, imagine how much you can get accomplished when no one's worried about who's getting credit for it.
Amen. Yeah, whoever said that is that they nailed it.
Yeah.
They nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Focus on the mission, not who's and the successful accomplishment thereof, not who made it happen.
Yep.
You know, because the people that need to know are gonna know who made it happen.
Yeah.
Focus on the mission.
So I have a metaphor to tell about going back to, actually it applies to all of it, but this is going all the way back to high school. Another great lesson I learned when I was on the track team, and one of the events that I ran was the mile, and I had a very good friend who said to me, I'm gonna run, and this was, I don't remember if it's sophomore year, junior year, I think it was junior year in high school. He said, I want to run a 4-minute and 30-second mile this year. That was his goal. And he was clipping away through the season at getting closer and closer and closer, that's a pretty good mile as a high school junior.
Oh hell yeah!
And he said, and I'm not going to get caught up in all of the, because there are tactics in these races that if you choose to engage in them, sometimes somebody will say, I want to start out real fast, and I want to try to sort of drain everybody's energy out because I know I don't have a good kick. So by the time we get to the last lap, I want everybody to be tired, and therefore my gutting it out is gonna, and that person with the really strong kick is gonna be so worn out because of the fast pace that they won't have a kick. So that's a tactic. Or other people will say, I'm gonna try to slow the crowd down because I have a good kick, and I'm gonna try to run slow. I still want a time that I want to get, but I want to go slower so that when it comes to the last lap, I can kick the last lap and I have the best kick, and I got plenty of energy to do it. All of those. He wanted nothing to do with that. He figured out I needed to run each lap at this time, and I'm going to forget about what everybody else is going through. And if I run 4 minutes and 30 seconds, I'm going to win this race. I'm going to win it 100%. And so so there's all these people sprinting ahead and slowing down and all this tactics going on around him. And he just stuck with it. And he ended up, hitting his mark of 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And he was so far ahead of everybody else doing all the tactics. My point there is, now bring it back to when it comes to the whole emotion thing, if you're just kind of steady Eddie, you're going to end up in a much further ahead typically. Allow yourself to emote when you should. I'm not saying don't do that. It's good to have emotions, positive and negative. There's a time for everything, but mostly steady Eddie, keep it all under control and go and finish the race well ahead of those who are all in these peaks and valleys.
Keep focused on the mission. Ignore all the periphery that's going on around you.
Yeah.
And keep your eye on the mission.
Right. There you go. That's my other story.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
So what was what kind of time were you running the mile in high school?
My fastest time was 4 minutes and 19 seconds.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's smoking, dude.
Yeah. Not good enough to, place in a state meet.
Yeah.
In the state champ, no, that was people were running faster than that. Yeah, it wasn't. It's not that fast.
Yeah, no, that's pretty damn fast.
It's not fast if that's your main event.
Yeah, if that's your main event, and you're only running, 1 mile.
Right.
I don't think I've ever run 1 mile just for a time.
Yeah.
It's been like the Marine Corps stuff was 3 miles, and the best I ever managed to muster up there was like 18:30 for 3 miles.
Okay.
So yeah, nowhere near a 4 minute mile.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's fast, man. That's rolling.
Yeah, but I was running like crazy. I was running 10 miles a day, 2 days. I mean, I was into it.
Yeah.
So when you focus on it, that's what you can do. But now I can't run a mile.
Yes, you could.
I could. I could.
You don't necessarily want to, but you could if you had to.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
I see. We're getting way off track here, but running is an interesting thing. So this came to my mind because I was at the beach this weekend. I would see people running, and I don't know. There's not really. I'm sure there are, right? So there are running schools, running clinics that you can go to, and people will teach you to be more efficient in your style and so on. But man, it's amazing to watch these different folks run by, because some of them look like they're just gliding along the damn road, like barely even touching the pavement.
Yep.
And then there's others, you can hear them coming, 4 blocks away, because they're just smacking their feet on the ground. And the efficiency of motion there is interesting. But it was just kind of cool and notable to watch.
Right.
And some people, they look like they're just enjoying the shit out of it, and other people look like they're just engaging in torture.
Yeah, that's it. It's exercise. They're not having fun doing it. They're doing it because they feel like they have to. Right?
Yeah. But anyways, so the conversation about, I think, ego and emotions and so on would not be complete if we didn't throw in there this little formula called E plus R equals O.
Okay.
Right. And those of you that have listened to this podcast before, you've heard this, no doubt. You're going to hear it again. E plus R equals O. Things are going to happen. Things are going to occur. People are going to piss you off. Things are, they're going to hurt your feelings. They're going to say and do things that you don't like. How you respond to it, that's the R, is going to dictate the outcome.
What's the E?
Events are going to occur.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Okay.
Did I miss saying that?
I think you said things are going to.
Yeah, things are going to happen.
Right.
E for events, right? So events are going to occur. How you respond to those events is what's going to dictate the outcome.
Yep.
So, you take a minute. Most scenarios are not life and death where you have to respond right now. You have the ability to take a few seconds, take a minute, and step back and, kind of review all the things that are going through your head and everything that's been presented to you before responding, and that's going to help to dictate the outcome. So
you have no control, right, over the event, but you have complete control over your response to the event.
Response ability. The ability to respond.
You bet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so ego, that's a big one. We talked, we kicked the emotion hard, and the ego is just same thing. Got to keep it in check. Keeping the ego in check and knowing when. I think it's good to have a good, healthy ego, but it's something that's a lot of it's going on in your own head, rather than out there for everybody to see. And
right.
And there's nothing. Well, I won't say that's too strong. I was saying there's nothing worse. There are certainly worse things, but when there's somebody walking around thinking that person has an oversized ego, it's too bad when people say that, and you don't want to be that person.
Yeah. Who
they're saying it about.
Yeah, and I think there's certain clues to those types of folks, right? So they're very only me focused or I focused, right? They're only concerned about themselves, and you can't live a giving life. I think, in my opinion, you can't live a giving life, looking out for others and being willing to serve others and be caught up in that ego thing. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think those are mutually exclusive.
Yep.
So, yeah. So if you run around having issues with too much ego, then maybe you don't have enough easy for me to say, right? Maybe you don't have enough service-oriented activities going on in your life where you're serving others and living a life of service to other people.
Yeah, anybody that you can, anybody in your life that, there's never too much work for those who are willing to serve or those who are willing to volunteer. And you're right, that's a very good way to sort of help keep things in check. It is, very much. I like it. Nice little ad there.
Yeah, that was a bonus.
All right.
There's one thing in here that I think we need to talk about, though.
Okay.
where does emotional intelligence, EQ, where does that fall into this equation? Where does that factor in, or does it?
Yeah, of course. Everything's connected to everything else. And when I think of emotional quotient, I will more frequently put that in the realm of interpersonal relationships and dealing with others. But of course, ego and emotions are a part of that as well. And so I would say, okay, I'm figuring it out as I talk. You can see my brain turning. A person who has a high EQ, emotional quotient, is a person who keeps these E's in check.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep.
I guess
Amen
that's a connection. Yeah. Boy, I was right out of left field. I don't know how'd I do on that one. Is that what you were looking for?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think they are all connected.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's I couldn't have said that any better. You know, when you're performing highly in that area, that emotional intelligence arena, then you've got those other things in check. I absolutely agree with your statement there.
Yeah. That's what I got for you today on keeping the E's in check. Ego, emotions. Is that what the title of it was? Was I close?
Yeah, I think. Well, look, my computer died on me. Controlling the E's.
Controlling these, not
ego and emotions.
Yeah.
Great title, great discussion. I appreciate the suggestion. The man who shall remain anonymous for now. Thank you for that suggestion.
Thank you.
And hopefully we offered some information that maybe helped you out with whatever's going on that caused you to pose that as a topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a good topic.
All right. Well, keep yourselves in check no matter what you're doing.
Indeed.
And one way that you can do that is by subscribing to our channel on YouTube or our podcast on whatever your favorite platform is, so that you can get regular doses of this wisdom we be slinging.
I'm never gonna get used to that. Never ever.
I know.
Right.
And just like the singing that I have to endure every day, every time we start recording.
But
I'm never going to get used to that either.
That's only you have to endure that. They have to endure your
Well,
singing.
I can start sharing little clips, because I have those.
I know, but you
won't do that to you?
Right.
I've only shared those with select people.
The singing, by the way, is amazing. It's a beautiful thing, folks. If you
And the important thing is that you think that. And
Yeah.
that's all that matters.
That's it. That's it.
All right. Well, let's leave folks with this. No matter who you are, where you are, or what you're doing, please make sure that between this podcast and the next, you take time to enjoy the ride. See, look at that. 1 week without this, and I'm out of practice, and I almost forgot to press the button, but Kevin saved me.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. Please subscribe so you'll receive notification when new episodes are available. To learn more about the Graybeards, visit their website, graybeardchronicles.com.